Hello everyone and welcome back to Now Daily. Well, I'm gonna leave the zombies aside and troublemakers. We have some breaking news today. Apparently, having an opinion now violates community guidelines. No surprise there. Because today, my friend and NOOW Media co-founder Taiki had his personal YouTube channel taken down. Gone. No warning, no meaningful explanation, just erased as though years of work can disappear with a push of a button. And remember, his Instagram was taken down, his TikTok was taken down as well, and now his personal YouTube channel is gone. At this point, Taiki has been removed from so many different social media platforms. I'm surprised Google Maps still acknowledges him. So, where can you actually see Taiki? Here, on NOOW Media, or on X, or elsewhere where people still believe voices should exist. Because apparently, freedom of speech now comes with a very interesting little asterisk underneath. Terms and conditions may suddenly apply. And let's remember something else here. Taiki wasn't exactly reviewing kitchen appliances. He traveled, reported, went against the evil of the world, and showed what he saw. And suddenly, even the Jewish Chronicles of Britain was writing about this Irish comedian reporting uncomfortable truths, which I have to say is fascinating. A British publication, if that's a British publication, getting worked up about an Irishman reporting uncomfortable truths. Maybe Britain still has some historical muscle memory. When a particular combination of words appears in the same sentence, well, an Irishman cannot go against the system. Isn't that true? Honorable mention to the organized Zionist genocidal mafia pages who recruit their supporters to mass report a page. Because when the truth is your enemy, that's the behavior that comes with wage war through deception. But seriously, we're pissing people off constantly. More lately, we're completely independent and with no editorial guidelines. If nobody powerful ever becomes uncomfortable, frankly, we're probably doing something terribly wrong. And no, we are not complaining here. We are not here begging for sympathy either. And certainly, we're not the victims. We are not the victims here. The victims are the people we report on, the people watching their homes disappear, the people watching their families disappear into a genocide and war crimes. The heroes are the journalists risking their lives in Gaza, in Lebanon, in Iran, so somebody somewhere can know what happened. Compared with that, losing a platform is not remotely in the same universe, and we would never pretend that it is. We're here because something else matters too. Censorship is everybody's problem, and silence becomes dangerous when it's normalized. We are telling you that what happened, the answer cannot be simply shrugging while another independent voice gets erased. We are asking a much bigger question. How do we solve this together? Because censorship does not become acceptable because today it happens to someone whose views you happen to dislike. No, the mute button comes for all of us, and that's the part people keep forgetting. Recently, we've irritated some people. Well, actually, that's probably an average working week for us. And unlike the people we criticize, we don't need to manufacture a narrative when the facts themselves are disturbing enough. But here's what we do know. We will not become obedient. We're not going to stop criticizing institutions simply because those institutions are so powerful. Power is precisely what requires scrutiny. We're not going to stop investigating something just because someone dislikes being investigated. That's not how scrutiny is supposed to work, you know that? If something deserves criticism, we will criticize it. If something deserves investigation, we will investigate it. If something is cruel, we will call it cruel. Take down all you want, because you cannot convince the world it is not a genocide. Your money does not purchase immunity, and your connections do not purchase immunity. Your public relations department does not purchase immunity either. And I don't think we've discovered Everest here when we're saying something so painfully obvious today. Critical thinking keeps finding the mute button. Question the approved version of reality. Isn't that right? Point your camera somewhere inconvenient and ask a question that somebody powerful dislikes, and suddenly you are not merely considered wrong. You're problematic, you're dangerous, you're harmful. Isn't that a very interesting vocabulary? The titans of legacy media, they like to be proud about the words freedom of speech. Ain't that right? But the moment we talk about freedom of speech and satire, they get offended. Actually, they block us. We're not saying anything here. We're just putting the ingredients on the table. So I'm gonna let Taiki tell you a story that might be interesting for the story of today. Taiki, take it away.
Good evening. Well, actually not such a good evening for me, because yesterday I was blocked on Twitter by Piers Morgan. I know, Piers Morgan, uncensored, the man who spent years presenting himself as Britain's last line of defence against wokeism, free speech absolutist, fearless interrogator, enemy of cancel culture, prepared to have the difficult conversations that frightened liberals simply cannot tolerate. Unless the difficult conversations are with me, or anyone, for that matter, who actually challenges him in any way, in which case block. And what terrible abuse prompted this? Well, Greta Thunberg and I made a comedy sketch in which she jokingly described Piers as her idol. Piers shared it, saying he was humble, so I simply replied, "If you want to hear more nice things she says about you, Piers, maybe you could just hack her phone, as is your one." That was it. Gone. Which is kind of strange, guys, because that's not some mad conspiracy theory. In 2023, a British High Court judge found that Piers Morgan knew about phone hacking at the Daily Mirror. So apparently Piers isn't offended by allegations, he's offended by good old blighty case law. This is the great paradox of Piers Morgan. He'll invite somebody onto his show, interrupt them 17 times, raise his voice until you can't even hear a hacked phone line properly, and then announce, "You're not answering my question." And if they continue challenging his impossibly narrow Atlanticist worldview in any way, "Right, you're done, cut him off." That's my Piers Morgan impression there. But spending time with Greta made me understand why she gets under the skin of guys like Piers. There's no angle to her. She just cares. Big things, small things. She does what she believes is compassionate and right without constantly checking where the camera is. And that's why I find it hilarious when Piers calls her an attention-seeking narcissist.
The only thing you, Greta, are raising awareness about, as always, is yourself.
Because perhaps the possibility he can't tolerate isn't that Greta is secretly performing goodness for attention, it's that she isn't. Because he'd then have to confront the genuinely terrifying possibility that some people are just decent, honest human beings. I'd imagine that would be very triggering for him. Anyway, I'd love to discuss it with him, but unfortunately, Piers Morgan Uncensored has censored me. Nicole?
Thank you so much, Taiki. We're not saying anything here. We're just cooking. Those are the ingredients. You name the recipe. Because censorship itself remains a cancer, and cancer becomes dangerous precisely because people ignore it while it's still small. Look at the contradiction around us. People protesting the genocide in Gaza have faced arrests and criminal proceedings. People supporting Palestine action, prison. You cannot even say that. Look at us. Palestine action. How are you going to censor the words, and how are you going to censor the truth? I'm here. Meanwhile, weapons contracts continue being signed. Weapons move and money moves. Governments shake hands and somehow dissent becomes the emergency. Think about how absurd that looks. A banner is treated as dangerous, but the bomb arrives with paperwork, right? A protester can end in handcuffs, but the machinery of war receives another contract. Then we're lectured about maintaining public order. What an extraordinary definition of order. And everybody wonders why alternative media exists. This is why. Here at NOW Media, nobody hands Taiki an official approved list of opinions, and nobody hands me one either. And there isn't somebody standing behind the camera telling us which conclusions are commercially acceptable and which questions should quietly disappear. We speak exactly as we think. And sometimes we disagree with each other, and that's good. We debate, we challenge each other. Sometimes one of us discovers that we're wrong, even better, because that's called having a functioning brain. And that's why this isn't simply about rebuilding Tadhg'S YouTube or social media platforms. No. Of course, another channel can be created. This isn't about the followers' numbers. It's about the precedent. And if independent voices are being treated as though they are some enormous threat, then perhaps that's revealing something very important. We'll take that as a compliment. Apparently, a comedian with a microphone can still make powerful institutions uncomfortable. Good. That's what microphones are for. But compliments do not rebuild independent audiences. People do. So yes, we are asking for your help, not for pity and not for sympathy, just action. So follow Taiki wherever you still can, share his work, be here on NOW Media, share this video, and archive independent content. Support independent creators. And when somebody suddenly disappears, ask why.
Hi guys. Now, regular viewers of my nonsense will know that I have been banned from Instagram for months and months now. No due process, no warnings, been banned from TikTok. But today there's a new low now in the censorship that I'm facing online. My YouTube channel just magically is gone. Channel removed, no sort of due process again. You know, and the only reason they've given, similar to Instagram, is I'm apparently endorsing criminal or terrorist organizations. Now guys, because I'm not a simpleton, I don't mention support for any specific prescribed group on the internet. I absolutely 100% unapologetically stand with the resistance, but I play the game, and yet I'm being silenced across social media platforms. And now YouTube is the most worrying, because that's one of the only ones that you can monetize. I've taken on the chin the fact that I've lost I don't know how much corporate work, voiceovers, you know, gigs, and the only way that I can kind of monetize anymore is pretty much YouTube and Patreon. You take them away, I'm kind of on the streets really, you know what I mean, which is kind of a little bit worrying for my family. Again, I'm not a militant, guys. I'm not part of any military organization. I'm a satirist. I just kind of make comedy, like funny videos on the internet. So why they're kind of, you know, determined to censor me and shut me down is kind of mad. I would have thought that satire and comedy and all those kind of things would be part of free speech. Now, you might be listening to this video, you might hate me, hate my views or whatnot. You're delighted that I'm getting cancelled. But I would just say to you, if you do feel like that, I mean, there's plenty of people on the right that I have animosity towards. But if you're a free speech absolutist, are you okay with somebody being silenced and shut down completely, having their free speech taken away from them simply because they espouse views that are contrary to the establishment and our corporate overlords? I thought that's what the free speech absolutists, particularly on the right, were railing against. So, do you know what? I urge people who believe in free speech, and I actually urge people in the pro-Palestine community as well, to stand with me in this moment. It'll be probably the first and last time I'll ask you for a little bit of a dig out. I'd like to think that I've done my bit for the movement over the last few years. When my Instagram page was taken down, I took it on the chin. I was like, don't make too much of a fuss about it. There's people being slaughtered as we speak. Who gives a shit about your shitty Instagram page? But you know what? This is part of the movement. This is what they're trying to do, to destroy the individual voices. And if we don't unite, they take us all down. We need to fight back, and I could do with your support right now. Please tag Team YouTube on X, send YouTube messages. I mean, just wondering why this happened now, and not apportioning any blame at all, but two of my recent kind of satirical targets were Piers Morgan and Rabbi Shmuley. But I know they wouldn't have anything to do with it. I mean, they're not vindictive people.